Alright, this is episode 19. So, the episode starts off with Pentlandite, this time, walking with the three diamonds in the quest. Or in the journey, or on the quest, whatever you call it. While it's happening, Pearl Diamond is having the episode starts off them walking while Pearl Diamond is having a conversation with Pentlandite by Pearl Diamond saying Pentlandite, uh, so if I made a prince, like, you think that, like, if someone that is unattractive, what would I just say? What would I say to him? And then Pentlandite said to her, just tell him he's not your true love. Everyone knows that true love, it's like, and then Stephen saying, let's see. Stephen then interrupts that, guys, we have a problem. And then, let's see. And then, okay, I think, let's see what can Steven say. I gotta pause this video. And, okay, so the gems were saying what, and one of the gems saying what, like, Pentlandite and, okay, here's how this happened. Steven says, guys, we have a problem, while Pentlandite was talking, and Pentlandite said what? And Steven said, I can't find any warp pads. I can't find any warp pads to the other planet. And maybe that's what Steven. Okay, that's what Steven was saying to Pensondite, and saying that we gotta find a portal to go to the planet. And Pensondite was saying, well, good, because I don't like going to warp pads anyway. I find them cheating, and even cheating by using my mind to go to the warp pads. And then, Steve, they walked off, and Steven had decided to find some shelter. And Penslandite was like saying, Penslandite, where do you want to go to? Can't go right. Well, we can't go right now, like. No, actually, Steven says, let's continue our journey, and we'll see if we can go to the planet tomorrow and find some ways instead of going on a warp pad, since Penslandite doesn't want to. Or Steven says to Pentlandite that, but Pentlandite, the warpad is the only way to get to the planets, or the warpad is the only way to get to the other planet. How did you get here? Oh, well, I was here. I came in. I was dropped by a ship, and I landed here, and I was followed by. I was using a book, and then I let to myself in the tower. And Steven was like, "Oh, well, come on, you guys. Let's go ahead and try and see if we can find a warp pad." And then Penslandite was saying, wait, right now? Wouldn't it take that long? Shouldn't we start a camp?" And then Steven say, "No, that will take longer." And then Pearl Diamond was Penslandite was saying, if I said Pearl Diamond by mistake, I meant Penslandite was saying that, wouldn't it take that long? Should we start? Can't, like, oh, yeah, and even what she said right now, like, that, I forgot to say that first. Then after Steven was saying that will take longer, she then said, but there's, more creatures in the woods. I mean, no, there's gems in the woods, and or there's villain gems in the woods, and then Steven was saying no. Proline was saying, oh, time out, Steven. We got me and Teal actually agree on this with Penteldite here about what she is saying. Like, and, I don't know, whatever she was saying, like what Donkey would say to Shrek over the Robins, and also like in Shrek, what Shrek was saying, and Steven was saying, like Shrek, oh come on, we have powers. There's nothing that can stop us, and Penteldite, as a nice person, instead of Fiona saying, yelling at Shrek, she was telling Steven, please, can we find, please, I beg you, we need to find a camp, like, right now. And then, like, she's not saying it in any way when she's saying right now, like, we need to find a camp right now, like, something like that. We need to find a camp spot right now, like, that's what she exactly said. And then Steven was, like, surprised about it, like for her to beg him, and like, oh yes, the three diamonds were surprised as her begging for a camp, and begging to Steven for a camp, and then which goes to the next scene where they are camping, and uh Pearl Diamond was saying, and Pearl Diamond and Teal were like saying that, oh, so what are we gonna do? Said Pearl Diamond, and then Teal was saying, I said purple, like it still called it purple, like the beginning names diamonds. I forgot about that. And Teal saying that, isn't it dangerous for a little gem? She acts like she's a newly born gem. And Penteldite saying, yes, you're right. I'm a newly born gem, but I already know better a lot. It just needs a few homie touches. And then Steven was saying, homie touches? Like what? And then she used like, I forgot what it is. It's like those scarf looking things that hang out on the trees. She would use them. She jumped up as a. She was like asking Steven if she would give her a blanket, and Steven gave her a blanket. No, Teal would get up and give her a blanket, and Penteldite was saying, "Well, diamonds, I shall be good night, or I should be good night," something like that. Um, and then as they were talking, and then later that night when Steven and the others were were talking in a conversation, they let's see. They began talking about stuff about Penteldite, or no, they were looking at the stars, and Pearl Diamond and Teal were listening to the story of Steven, like saying, look, there's something like whenever Shrek was saying that you can tell what he's famous for, or like whenever Constellation that we're doing this different, like we're doing this a little bit different than Shrek, and then Pearl Diamond saying that, yeah, like you can't tell by these dots, or actually Teal M was all sleeping as well because I don't think she's into Actually, it would be. It's actually a better scene for all three diamonds to lay down there. Yes, it would. Yeah, Jill Adams listening to the story, and then Steven was saying that. Pearl was saying that. Now, she was like saying, now how can you tell by these dots, like these little dots, like I don't know, whatever Steven was saying. And sorry for thinking a long time for seconds. I was I was just thinking without thinking of pausing, because if I pause a lot, it would be annoying to keep on pausing. But Steve was saying, no, Pearl, they tell stories. See, there he is, and there's a group of hunters running away from it. And it's Stench, but it wouldn't be Stench. Sorry, I didn't mean to say Stench. Or, I don't know why I said Stench. They would, he said something different, and and Pearl Diamond still didn't get it. I don't know if that's when she said Dot's like donkey, like before Steven saying they're that constellation is, but Steven was saying, forget it. Oh yeah, even Teal was saying about the story how she was complaining about she was complaining with Pearl Diamond that about the story of stars they didn't get it, and Steven saying, guys, forget it. They were sleeping, and then Teal and Pearl Diamond were questioning about uh that they were asking questions about. Pearl Diamond was like saying, "Do you have something?" And Steven and even Teal was asking a question about that as well. About what are you hiding? And Steven said, "Never mind, you two." And then Pearl was like, and then they went closer to Steven, and then Pearl was saying, "Oh, this is another one of those beat things, isn't it?" And beat things, is it? And then Steven saying, "No, those are one of those drop it's, and no, those are one of the life and blood things." Something like that. And then Pearl Diamond was saying, and then Teal was like saying that, what, you got something to talk about, like, you want to talk about it, and then Steven was saying, why do you guys want to talk about it? And then as they were trying to get on Steven, like, asking questions, like, I'm not talking. And as they were asking questions for he was saying, guys, I'm warning you. And then they asked a question about him being pink, and he didn't turn pink. He gets angry. He's like saying, everyone, okay? And then Teal and Pearl Teal was smirking, and Pearl Diamond was saying, Teal was smirking, and Pearl was saying, now we're getting somewhere. And as Pencil Knight was sneaking up and hearing the conversation in the distance while they're thinking that she's asleep, he then explains about him. Everyone in his life, everyone hurts his feelings, calls him to cry and be angry, and tells him about how he had felt during his past with him going pink. And then the two dimes cheered him up, and then they continued their looking at the stuff. Oh yes, Steven was laying down when he was trying to sleep, and they were asking questions. And after he's saying forget it, they were just laying down, and then they were so then they were I'm sorry. I'm trying to think. They were looking at stuff, and as they were looking at stars and stuff, and they were like, what is that over there? And Steven was saying, I don't think that's planet Mars. Like, that's Mars. Like, after Steven was saying that after Pearl Diamond was looking at it, and even Teal Diamond was like saying, what's that? And he's saying, I think that's Jupiter. Like, that was before Pearl Diamond was asked a question, and then she was saying, then Pearl Diamond was saying, what's that red dot right there? And Steven was saying, that's Mars. And as the scene changes, we then get to where we get back to Doc in her bed, like at a castle, looking at TVs and stuff, like and like it was like powder stuff, like what the suits there from Kung Panda, like Sapphire would use this powder stuff and turn into like how Light did, but it turned in it was like it was showing. She was showing Pansendite, and she was and made Duck in love with her even more. And then as it stopped, as it was no longer functioning, the powder started not working because it was used for a long time. And then Doc was saying, Sapphire, Sapphire, show her to me. Show me the Pentlandite. And then she used more powder, and then she was and then they were and it was shown Pentlandite, and Doc was saying, perfect. And that was and it was funny. And oh yeah, Doc was under was under the blanket. She was like naked. And she was like, oh, like Farquaad. And then we eat to another scene where Penslandite was going to and singing her own song like Fiona. She has her own song, and I'm guessing that she made a creature explode like a bird, and then she had an idea of she had an idea to make breakfast for Steven. And as Brolin was talking in her sleep, that made Steven and Teal wake up, and Steven woke Pearl Diamond by saying, "Wake up!" And then Penslandite was saying to the three diamonds, "Good morning," and they all say good morning, and the two diamonds besides Steven were saying good morning, and Steven was saying, well, even even Purple Diamond was saying, Purple or Purple Diamond, whatever you call it, it's as like for longer for short. She was saying good morning, Penslandite, and Steven was saying, what's all this about? And then Penslandite was saying, well, we kind of had a bad start yesterday, and I wanted to make it up to you. And I wanted to make it up to you, Diamonds. I mean, after all, you three did rescue me. And I wanted to make it up to you three. That would make more sense, and it would make more sense for her to say, I mean, after all, you Diamonds did rescue me. And then they eat. And then they eat. And it was for Steven, and as he was looking down, breakfast for him because the gems cannot have it, he was looking up to her, and or while he was looking, what made him look up, Penslandite was saying, well, eat up. We got a big day ahead of us. And that's when the episode ends. So, yeah, that's also other things I have to say, so bye.